So the question has come up, how do I find the area of my compound shapes? And how do I find the perimeter of these shapes? So this purple shape is taken from IXL. We're going to use this shape, and I'm going to show you how to break it up into smaller shapes, find the area of the smaller shapes, which then in turn will give us the area of the bigger shape. So this compound shape is broken up into three pieces: a large rectangle, a small rectangle, and a quarter circle. I drew these black lines to separate my shape into these three pieces to make it a little bit easier to see what numbers correspond to which shapes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the area of this shape right here. The area of a rectangle is length times width. So I have to decide which letters or numbers I need to calculate this area. I need to use 13 and 5. So 13 times 5 equals 65, 65 centimeters squared. The next shape we're going to look at is this small rectangle. Again, it's length times width. I'm using 3 and 8. So 3 times 8 equals 24 centimeters squared. The last shape that I have to look at for my area is this quarter of a circle. Since I'm finding area, I need to use the equation area equals pi times radius squared. So the big question is, what number corresponds to radius? Is it the 8 or the 11? Well, we have to look at our circle or our quarter circle. The center of the circle is right here. So the line that corresponds to the radius would be 11 centimeters because the 8 just corresponds to this little piece right here and isn't the full radius measure. So I'm going to plug into my equation area equals 3.14 times 11 times 11, or 3.14 times 121. Because 11 squared is 121. When I calculate that, my total is 379 and 94 hundredths. Well, that is the area of a complete circle. I have a quarter of a circle instead, so I need to take this number and I need to divide it by 4. In doing that, I end up with 94 and 98 985,000 centimeters squared. I'm going to round that to 95. So I'm rounding to the nearest whole number for this example. I'll put 95 here. So now I have to add the three numbers together. I need to add 95 plus 24 plus 65. When I add those numbers together, I get 184 centimeters squared. And that is the area of my shape, 184 centimeters squared. So now I have to find the perimeter of this shape. To do so, I have to figure out what D, what W, and what X equal. Knowing my shape rules, I know that this rectangle, Opposite sides are parallel and have the same measure. Opposite sides are parallel and have the same measure. So W equals 5 centimeters. Since opposite sides are parallel, this line right here is the same thing as 13 centimeters, or it is equivalent to x plus 8, because this little piece here is x, and this piece up here is 8. So what is x? If I solve for x, I get x equals 5 centimeters. So I know my W measurement, I know my x measurement. Now I need to figure out what D is. Well, D is part of the circumference of the circle, and circumference equals pi times diameter, or pi times 2 radius. I know that 11 is my radius, so pi 3.14 times 2 times 11 is going to be my circumference. 2 times 11 is 22. And if I multiply that by pi, I end up with 69 and 8 hundredths. But that represents my whole circle. I'm looking just for the circumference of the circle. So I need to divide this by 4 because this is a quarter circle. So once I divide by 4, I get 17 and 27 hundredths. And again, I'm going to round that to the nearest whole number, and that rounds to 17. So now I have to add up all the numbers along the outside of my circle. So we will start with what D is, 17 plus 11 plus 5 plus 13 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 8 plus 8. So when you add all of those numbers up, you will get the circumference or the perimeter of this shape. And when you add it all up, I believe you get 75. Add it again, 17. Correct, 75 centimeters. And that is the answer of the perimeter of this shape, 75 centimeters. So that is how you solve a complex shape, both perimeter and area.